Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, January 7th, and this is virtual lunch number 473. Our guest today is Alex Babin, who is the co-founder and CEO of Xero. And this is, of course, part of our continuing series on productivity automation with Xero. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hi, Ari. Doing good, and hope you all guys doing great as well.
Well, I'm super excited for this conversation. Tell us about your background and the genesis of Xero.
So we started Xero as a Silicon Valley startup some time ago with a premise of making automation meet AI to help knowledge workers to do things more productive way. I've been in the tech industry for about 15 years now. That's my third startup. At some point in my life, I realized that I'm spending too much time on repetitive tasks, especially with email, with time, with calendaring, with all those things that consume enormous amount of our work time and takes a lot of tax on what we're doing. And I was literally, well, there should be something to help me with this. And then I looked around and I realized, nope, there is nothing. And that's how typically the tech idea is being born, especially in Silicon Valley. And I showed it to a couple of my friends and they joined me as co-founders. And that's how the company started. It's been a wild journey since then. At the very beginning, I was not building a company. I was building a solution to help myself. And basically the first prototype was done sitting on my couch overnight. And in the morning, I showed it to my friend, who said, well, it looks terrible, but the idea is good. And of course, the prototype looked terrible because it was done overnight. And then you start talking to people and the product starts changing. But it's important, the best companies out there that grew to something really meaningful, they keep the idea, the product changes, the features evolve. Even sometimes the audience, the target market change, but the initial idea always stays intact. And that's what separates great companies from mediocre ones. There are so many things that we can do and help people with. And what Xero is doing is just a small part of it. So we need to have the broader discussion of what else can be done. So what productivity automation is. Let's start with the productivity first, right? And then we'll add automation flavor on top of it. So there are two ways of producing work: intensive and extensive. And with intensive, you just pile things in, you work harder to produce more. And we know there's always a limitation of how much you can produce. And we're talking about knowledge workers, right? We're not talking about agriculture or production, manufacturing, anything. But the same principles apply there as well. And our limitation of our productivity, whether extensive or intensive, the number of working hours, right? I have, 24 hours in my day, and no one can give us more. To me, my working hours, my life is the same value as yours to you and Warren Buffett's to Warren Buffett. So time is a limited currency we're operating with when we think about productivity and how much work we can produce as knowledge workers. Let's say 8 hours of work time. Well, of course, there are more, and some of us work even more than 8 hours. But in this limited amount of time, there is a huge tax that's being taken from us on producing the meaningful work. And if we talk about the legal industry, it's billable now versus non-billable. And for every hour of billable work, you have to spend more than half an hour of non-billable time. So that's a huge tax, and it's being paid by us. And productivity automation is the techniques and tools that help you to reduce non-billable time so you can produce more with less. That's the essence of productivity automation. We want to be productive, but we want to be productive in a smart way without spending too much time on it. So productivity automation is removing this cognitive drag, removing this tax from our working hours with a set of tools, with a set of techniques. It might be something how we do things and what we do things with. So we know that our industry that we operate in is really conservative, right? No one wants to be the first, everyone wants to be the second, but no one wants to be the last. So in the first years of our existence, when we were showing what we have, we had to go through a lot of proof points and show the proof points that yes, it works as it works, and it's really smart. But one important component at some point we realized to make sure that people really trust AI to file emails for them and save time, it's the quality of prediction. Attorneys are trained not to trust anything and anyone until you have the proof, right? So that's the essence of the profession. So we've built the product and we had to change the product at some point. The way it shows you the right predictions for each email, for each document, and you start building that trust. And at the very beginning, it was quite some time, like might be a month or even more before attorney starts building trust in AI, saying, well, this product doesn't make any mistakes. It works better than I would do it. And once this trust is being built, machine starts asking basically the user saying, do you trust me enough? Do you want me to file that whole thing for you, thousands and thousands of emails? Or you keep doing it manually with my assistance? So there are different levels of integration with your processes, with your behavior. One, Zero puts a label on every email, every document that it has 100% confidence where it should go. And then attorney or legal professional decides where it goes. The final decision is always on the user side, but it still saves tons of time because everything is labeled. That's what Zero does. We structure the unstructured data for you, labeling it, and then you decide where it should go. So if you give something that works to users and it saves them time, they never want to go back. No one wants to file emails manually again, or documents, or capture time manually. Those processes are not the most enjoyable processes in our profession. If you want to get something newer or better, you have to replace the old one. It's painful. But if you bring something in that sits on top of existing systems and just provides more intelligence, better things, faster things to be produced, that's the holy grail. The same applies to users. If you don't have to do anything, but the job is done for you, and especially on the things that you don't like doing, we have a tool called Move to Folder, predictive move to folder. So now when you move emails to folders to basically get to inbox zero, you're doing it manually. One email at a time. There is no other way to do it. Now imagine you are working through your emails, you've done everything, then you push a button inside your Outlook. One small button, you push a button, and all your emails that you already done working on magically moved into appropriate folders. Now let's make things even more complicated. Let's talk about not moving emails to folders, which is corner case, but also creating copies in the document management system, right? Let's imagine it's an insurance defense, like insurance client. In insurance, you might have one client and thousands of matters. We have clients, law firms that are doing insurance defense and have thousands of matters. So in this case, it becomes even more complicated. Such an avalanche of emails and documents and all different matters, sometimes really hard to understand what matter and client it belongs to. But in this case, that's the beauty of our classification engine we've been working on for 6 years now, and it does work. So it goes not just into who sent it to you, it goes into understanding what's inside the email, what is the context. It does natural language processing and understanding that this paragraph is about this thing and that paragraph is about that thing. And then it can file it into multiple destinations saying, well, the same email belongs to that matter and to this matter, and puts it into appropriate place. Without having this understanding, going that deep into understanding the context of the communication or a document, this whole thing wouldn't work, but it does. That's what I call cognitive component. That's why it's so important. Take it away, and traditional automation would not work. Put cognitive component in, and that's where productivity automation shines.
Alex Babin, everybody. Well done. Thank you so much, Alex, for sharing this. Thanks to Zero for supporting our series on productivity automation. I hope that everyone has a fantastic weekend.